Alright guys, I'm going to be changing the rotors, these captive rotors, and also the lower ball joint on this 1990 Honda Accord. This also applies to 90 and up Accords with captive rotors. First thing we're going to do is take off this brake caliper. There's two 17mm bolts that are holding it. There's one right here and the other one's at the bottom. Okay, you guys can turn your wheel so you guys can have access to the bolts. I should have took this off first. This is a 10mm. After we take this off and you take the caliper off of the rotor, you can hang it on the control arm so it could be out of the way. Alright, so next we're gonna take off this cover that's covering the upper ball joint. Alright, next we'll take out these cotter pins. And on the bottom. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, after you get the cotter pins out, now we're gonna take off this 17mm. Keep the nut on. Screw it on to where it's flush. And then we're gonna hit it with the hammer. Alright, after some force, it's out. You get that out of the way. Now we'll work on the bottom. It's also a 17. I'll just leave it like that, where it's flush. Then we're gonna put the ball joint separator in and tighten it down, and then it'll come off. This 17 that's holding the upper ball joint. Okay, now we're gonna take off this 36mm axle nut. Pry this out of the cavity. After you take off everything, this should be able to lift up. Lift right up. We got the knuckle up. When we got the knuckle flipped over, there's 4 10mm bolts that have, it's the one that have a lot of teeth in it. Make sure you guys get this one. Once we have these 4 bolts out, get your longer bolts. M10 125 by 100 mil. And we'll screw them in and then pound it. And pound them evenly until the bearing comes out. There we go. Alright, now that we got the rotor out and the bearing assembly, we can go ahead and take out these 4 screws. It's the bearing and hub assembly. That's the old rotor. Alright, now we're going to tackle this ball joint right here. First thing we're going to do is take off this boot. Looks like a little ring that's holding it in place. Getting it off. Alright, once you guys get that off, we're gonna take off the snap ring right here. If you guys had a tool, you guys could just press it out. My tool that I have right now doesn't fit this, so I'm gonna have to use this. But to make it easier, we're gonna go ahead and cut this off so it'll be a nice and flat surface with the grinder. Alright, once we have the end cut off, now we have this nice flat surface. We can use this to bang it out. one from Moog. Alright, you guys could either bang on this all day to try to get it in, but my knuckle has a weird angle, so I can't really hit it with my sledgehammer. So I have my press. There's some adapters that's missing, so I couldn't really push out the ball joint, but I'm able to press it in. At least it works. So in here, this is gonna catch the ball joint, or not really catch it, but just for a surface for me to use this so I can push this in. Now we got the new ball joint in. We're gonna put the snap ring. Now we got the lower ball joint in. Now I have some new drill and slotted rotors. That's about to go on. And then I'm gonna clean this up right now. Clean up the hub assembly. Go and throw the rotor on. I'm gonna go flip it over. Alright, so after you guys got this in a star pattern, just tighten it down snug, and then we'll torque it down later when it's on the car. You can kind of see that these holes are a little offset or wider than these two. So we'll just go ahead and turn it like that. And I'll throw this on top and just line it up. Just using this multi-vehicle grease. Tighten it down with the socket, the 10mm socket with a lot of teeth. And we're gonna do it in a crisscross pattern so it seats nicely. Oh, my battery died. Alright, now we're gonna torque these bolts down to 33 foot-pounds. Alright, that's it. Now it's ready to be thrown back in the car. Got the bottom in. I got the axle nut in. I mean the axle slipped in. I'll go ahead and put the top outer tie rod. I got the bottom. Axle nut. Alright, 32 foot-pounds. 32 foot-pounds, and I believe the bottom is 37 to 44. Just tighten it enough to where you can put the cotter pin in. Alright, let's get that torqued down. Put this cotter pin in. Alright, now we're going to torque this 36mm axle nut to, I believe it's 181. I got a bar wedged in between so this doesn't move. Now lastly, we'll torque this down to 40 foot-pounds. Hey, and don't forget to hit this little notch in, this little cavity right here. Brake caliper back on. Torque these down to 80 foot-pounds. Put these two 10mm back. That's holding the brake line. Put this cap back on. Okay, that's basically it on how to change the rotors, the hub assembly, and the ball joint, the lower ball joint. But I'm also going to change the brake pads now. So now I'm going to take out this
14 millimeter, and then we're gonna lift up this. Lifts right up. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is compress this piston. Okay, I have the old brake pad right here, and I have a piston tool. I'm gonna be pushing this brake pad onto here, and it's gonna compress the piston so we can put the new brake pads in. Alright, I lubed it up a little bit. Maybe I put too much, but make sure that the this thing is sticking out at the bottom. That's the thing that screeches, and it'll let you know when your brake pads are low when it gets to that time. And put the front one in just like that. Hopefully the back one doesn't close in. Put this bolt back in. And then you don't have to, but I like to torque everything down. But this is 25 foot-pounds, I believe.
Torque the lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds.